Hi, this is King of Review. Here we have to find the characteristic of the common log log base 10 of 0.0029. Let's think first about what a characteristic means. If I have a log base 10 of some number x, let's say this equals 4.315, etc. The decimal will go on for a while. Then we call the integer part the characteristic. So in this part, the number 4 is the characteristic. Everything else is called the mantissa. So everything after the decimal point is called the mantissa. And what's really important to note here is that you have to be able to write your logarithm as a sum of the characteristic and the mantissa. So we can write 4.315 as 4 plus 0.315, and so on. Now, let's take that and go to our problem over here on the left. We don't really know what this log equals. It's going to be some decimal that never ends, but we'd have to have a calculator to figure out exactly what it is. So instead of doing that, let's think about rewriting this equation in exponential form. This log can be written equivalently as 10 to the power of our question mark is equal to 0.0029. Now let's try to think about some values that this question mark could be. I know I want to raise 10 to some power to get a pretty small number, a decimal that is less than 0.01. Well, I know if I raise 10 to the power negative 2, that's the same thing as 1 over 10 squared, which is 1 over 100, or 0.01. Well, that's still a little bit too high. That's higher than 0.0029. So let's go down to the exponent of negative 3. That's 1 over 10 to the third. 1 over 1,000 is 0.001. Now 0.0029 is somewhere in the middle of these two numbers. It is bigger than 0.001, but it's smaller than 0.01. That means my exponent, the question mark that I'm trying to figure out in this log, is somewhere between negative 2 and negative 3. So I've just figured out that the log base 10 of 0.0029 is between negative 2 and negative 3, which means it's negative 2 point something, something, something. Let's call these numbers A, B, C, dot, dot, dot. I don't know what numbers A, B, and C are. They'll be just, this number is some decimal. We don't know what it is. But this is enough to figure out the characteristic. Remember, all we wanted was the characteristic, the integer part of the log. Now it's looking like negative 2 should be the characteristic, but there's a problem. Remember that the characteristic and mantissa have to be able to be added. And right now, what we have is subtraction. We have negative 2 minus point A, B, C, etc., whatever numbers A, B, and C are. We don't want subtraction between our characteristic and mantissa. We want addition. So there's a very easy fix. We can add 1 to the mantissa, and to balance it, we can subtract 1 from the characteristic. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. And if we take this decimal and add 1, we will now have a positive decimal. Let's call it D, E, F, dot, dot, dot. Some numbers. Doesn't really matter what they are. This part over here is now the mantissa because it's being added, and negative 3 is the characteristic. So our answer is negative 3. And that's it. Thanks for watching.